Cool.
Welcome everyone to Cheeseburger. I'm Big Mac, and this is QP.
QP with the cheese.
QP with the cheese. We're just gonna go over some things about growing up in the Borg.
Yeah, we got this idea from experience, and that's all we can speak on.
Yeah,
So that's
I
it.
excellent. I noticed that there is in QP here as well that there's a group online, specifically Reddit, for people who have escaped the Borg or who have questions about it. And we just want to share some of our experiences. But today we're going to be starting with making friends.
Yeah. Life is a Jehovah's Witness making friends. That's
Jehovah's.
something, isn't it?
It was
Making
hard.
friends. Have you ever wanted to do that? Have you ever wanted to make friends before?
I was told not to.
Yeah. Because if you're interested in that, you should not be a Jehovah's Witness.
Matter of fact, you shouldn't
First
even
off.
look at people who aren't wearing a suit and tie talking door to door. Who are these
In
people?
fact, it goes even deeper than that. To be honest, if you like your family and you want to keep them together, you do not want to be a Jehovah's Witness.
You like birthdays? This ain't for
Oh
you.
man,
You like that Christmas?
that's that devil
Pagan.
shit, bro.
Yeah, it's pagan.
No, but for real though, like making friends, you are groomed from childhood, if or from whenever you step foot into the organization as a regular.
Hold on.
Uh, yeah.
If I was
Go
going door
ahead.
to door, I think I would lead with something like, "We would like you to subscribe to having to tell all your friends you don't want to go to their birthday party and see how long you're actually friends with them. Sign here,
Yeah.
please."
Oh, you should see how bad I get it, right? I was a Jehovah's Witness for almost 15 years. Now I celebrate birthdays, and my family is still offended that I don't know anybody's birthday. And I'm like, bro,
My
you
God,
realize
oh my God, you're so right.
more than half my life I haven't celebrated them. I'm sorry. It was another day to me.
Oh man, I feel so bad for you. The same thing happens to me. Even some of my best friends to this day, they're like, "Yo, bro, don't you got something to tell me?" I'm like, "Oh shit, has it been a year already?" Bro, I don't even have a gift. And he's like, "Don't worry, just hang out with me." I'm like, "All right, man, we could do that.
So, but get this though,
Just
they
don't tell the
do
other Jehovah's Witnesses."
they do celebrate anniversaries.
Huh?
So,
Yeah.
my mom, I forgot her anniversary. She is still offended by that. Never forgiven me. She was like, "You motherfucker, you celebrate those and you still forgot."
Oh, you
It's
mean
like, I'm sorry.
like husband wife like married anniversary?
Yeah.
Do you
That's like the one thing that they celebrate.
do you remember just because parties? Did you have just because parties?
I mean, most parties were just because, but we never were cool enough to freaking name it that. It was genius. See, Memphis was on to something before Arkansas.
Mm.
I say Memphis because Memphis is different than Tennessee. Okay. Memphis congregations are completely different. That's one thing. They preach about this unity across the world. You know, you can walk into any meeting and they'll be studying the same watchtower across the world. Yeah, okay, sure. Fair enough. But the rules, the customs, completely different. I had a pompadour, like a small one, right? Back when that started becoming popular, where I had a fade on the sides, and I
Ooh,
had some
you were
some
looking
Dapper Dan
slick
in my
with it.
hair. Yeah, with the
Elders had
suit
something
and
to say about
everything.
that.
Yes, sir, they did. I was supposed to be reading the Watchtower on Sunday, and they pulled me into the back room and they said, "Look, you have a faddish haircut. This haircut. You don't get a haircut to drag attention to yourself away from Jehovah. We want to bring all attention to Jehovah. Um, so we can't use you until you fix your hair." Now, keep in mind, it wasn't 30 days later. They had one of those. It's like a monthly broadcast.
Hmm.
Because he told me, he was like, "You need to look in the magazines at the brothers that they're using, and you need to model yourself after that, right?" And it wasn't 30 days later, bro. The main character on the broadcast, which they host at the Kingdom Hall every month for people that don't have internet to watch as a congregation, and I went to that to show support or whatever, and the whole time he had a pompadour, and I was just looking at that elder. I can't say his name. Shit. I can't say locations either. We got to scrap this.
What'd you say?
First, I said 2 congregations. Uh, damn it. Damn it. Are we live?
No, this is a recording.
Oh, okay. Okay, cool. So you can cut that if you had to.
I can cut it.
Yeah. Yeah, I just said the 2 locations. That was stupid. I'm sorry.
No, it's fine. Yeah, this is why we're recording and that we're not going live. This is the exact
Bet,
reason,
bet, bet.
actually.
Yeah, it's like a rough draft, almost like a crash course. Okay.
Yeah. But anyway,
Perfect.
more on your story, your pompadour.
Yeah. So, I actually took the blue pill and fixed my haircut, but I wasn't able to read the Watchtower that morning. And then I was like, obviously, the elders make up their own rules where they want, because a governing body member had the same haircut, or not a governing body member, but
Someone
the
above
lead
them.
character the lead character in the film that they just released days after I got in trouble for having that haircut. He had the same one.
Smells kind of culty to me.
Yeah, and like no beards, no facial hair or anything like that except for mustaches. Dude, when I went to Memphis, there was brothers with God, I said it again. When I
You
went
can say
to
Memphis. You can say
all right,
Memphis.
all right, yeah, everybody knows Memphis to be wild, and why would Jehovah's Witnesses be any different?
Oh
So,
my goodness.
yeah, I went to that congregation. I'm from a small town congregation that does what the hell they want. Everybody wants to be Judge Judy and that mofo, but in Memphis, there's brothers on stage with sports coats. That's something that I wasn't allowed to do on stage. I had to have a matching coat with my pants.
You mean like a blazer? You weren't allowed to have a blazer?
Yeah, no blazers, no sports
Man,
coats, no two-tonage, right?
you can't
And
stand out. Yeah.
In Memphis, they were wearing those flood high pants that cut off at your ankles,
Mm.
and they were wearing those like ankle sock dress socks with the slippers and stuff, so it was like you could still see ankle.
Mm.
And they had sports jackets, blazers on, and
Oh.
soul patches giving parts.
Some elder sisters sitting there lusting after the young man on stage wearing the blazer and showing ankles. Oh
Yeah,
no,
man.
bro.
Yeah,
But
yeah.
if
And
the
the soul
governing
patch.
body can do it, you could do it. Right.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
What was I gonna say? I think I was gonna say exactly that. If the elders come and talk to you, it's like, oh, you can't do that, and then a week later, you're right. Someone in the governing body has a haircut, and like now it's okay. I hated that. I hated not being able to wear what I wanted to wear. No earrings for guys.
Oh, yeah.
Oh man,
That's
but
why I got earrings in my 20s and a tattoo. It was because I just wanted to. I couldn't.
I wanted earrings for so long.
Well, that's the thing, too. See, that's actually indoctrination still. I just said I couldn't. There is nothing on earth stopping my free will of doing what I want, except for just the consequences and humiliation that come along with stepping outside of the boundaries set before you by Jehovah's people.
Yep, the Borg.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. And the sad thing is, I feel a very strong way about the organization negatively after leaving the way I did, but it's not even how I left or why I left it. That just helped me wake up to what was really going on, the bigger picture.
I remember having conversations with you when I got out, and I was like,
When I was still in,
yeah, I didn't want to pressure you to come out because that's a decision you have to make on your own, 100%. Because if somebody else makes it for you, that's not something you're going to keep, and you may even regret it later. So I'm super
if there's
happy.
anything that anybody can take from this podcast, is what you just said right there. That's the most important thing.
Oh, for sure.
You respected my beliefs, even though you knew I was in a bad place mentally.
Couldn't have been happy. No way, dude.
Yeah, I thought I was.
I'm sorry, go ahead.
But the thing is, for you to be respectful, so flip the coin, right? You were able to plant a seed with respect. Subconsciously, you're groomed, you're trained to block out anything that would uproot your belief system. So that's Satan right there in your face. So the harder you come at me, the more persecution you give me for being a Jehovah's Witness, the less my ears are going to hear your words, because I've been programmed to block that out. Now, if you come at me with tact, respect, you speak clearly with intellect and you give me things to think about. See, Jesus taught, if you believe the Bible, Jesus taught with questions. He didn't
Parables.
teach with answers. Yeah. So you can't tell me the answer. You can't wake me up. You can only lead me to the water to drink,
Absolutely.
right? You can't throw the bottle of water at me. I'm not going to catch it. It's going to hit me in the face. I'm going to fucking hate you for the rest of my life. And you were just trying to help me. So anybody that's listening to this that has that wants to help somebody, bring them out of that, you can only show them love, man. It's a process. And even if they know the truth, the second part is coming out about it. That's the hardest thing. I mean, most people choose to fade if they don't get disfellowship for just living their life the way they want to. If you're already baptized, there's no way out without getting disfellowshipped or writing a letter saying you don't want nothing to do with them.
I'm glad you brought that up. If you're already baptized, they put so much, the congregations, emphasis on getting your child baptized at such a young age, and they describe it as a beautiful thing. And to make some kind of commitment like that, yeah, I guess it could be seen as a beautiful thing. But even like when marriage comes into play, like the United States, like you can't even get married most places until like you're 18, right? I think there's some places that you can't get married younger than that. But
not just by yourself though. If it's under the age of consent, you have to have like guardians and stuff. Yeah.
But yet we're telling these kids to devote their whole lives around this belief that they're 13, they're 14. What do they actually know? Like, they think they know stuff. Sure, it's because what their parents are telling them or what they're learning from those around them. And then once they've had you make that decision, and you've made that promise is what they keep telling you, it's really hard to come back from something like that. And you made a promise to something you really didn't know all that much about. It's just what everyone else was pressuring you into do. So it's just kind of like another way for them to pressure you into staying in, is because you've been baptized at such a young age. I think I told you this story before, but
just like the marriage commitment, it's the same thing, but with God.
Yeah, and it's actually described as that too. But
yeah.
I think I told you the story. I'll share it with you again. But I was sitting down at a what's it called?
It's like a convention or
that's what it is.
an
convention.
assembly.
I was at a convention. You know how they do, like, all of the people that are getting baptized, everyone kind of goes down into the foyer, and then you look up on the stage.
For anybody that hasn't heard that or seen that, maybe we could explain that for them.
Oh, okay.
Like what it's like. So a convention is like, all right, first off, you have your congregation that you go to, like your church, but they don't call it church. It's a kingdom hall. And then an assembly is like the local kingdom halls in that state that meet. And then a convention is like a regional assembly where local kingdom halls from that state and neighboring states will also come to visit once or twice a year that lasts for a few days. And at this is where you get baptized. You don't get baptized at your kingdom hall or at the church or whatever. You only get baptized at these big gatherings, these assemblies and conventions. And what is it? Don't they have like the first 2 rows at the front?
Yep.
Those are reserved for people getting baptized.
Yep.
And it's like this huge display for everybody that happens during lunchtime.
Semantics. I think it happens like a little bit after lunch, but yeah, essentially in that time window, like around lunchtime. But generally, people are eating. They want to give people time to come see it after.
Yeah.
But anyway, so I'm staying down there with my dad. I'm like 13 at the time. And I'm looking at all these kids, and me and my father had fought.
No, you weren't in the front row, right? You just were seeing them.
No.
Yeah.
A lot of people would have been happy. A lot of people would have been happy with that decision, but I was the wayward child.
You black sheep.
I was the black sheep. So I was
tainted soul.
There. I know. They should have taken me out of there. I was going to convince everyone on stage not to get baptized. They'd have put him under the water, and I'd be like, "He's drowning." Anyway. So sitting down there, see these kids getting baptized, and my dad's holding my hand, and he squeezes my hand as these kids are going down one after the other, and he looks down at me and he goes, "I want to see you up there." And I looked at him, and I said, "Dad, they're doing that for their parents. They're not doing that for themselves." And he got so mad at me. We went home. He threw the Bible at me. I got locked in my room. I had to read scripture. I didn't read none of that shit. I just he locked me in my room. He's like, "You're not done until you're finished reading this." And I read it. I think he told me to read. I don't remember what scripture it was.
Yeah.
But He was basically telling me to listen to my father and not disrespect him. And I was like, how's that got to do anything with this? That's another thing.
Have you ever seen that episode of Family Guy where they make fun of Asian parents having like ridiculous high hopes for their children? And he was like, are you doctor yet? And he's like, no. And he's like, don't come back till you're doctor.
Oh,
Basically,
yeah.
don't come back until you're ready to be a freaking circuit overseer or an elder. You're
Oh,
useless.
man. Wouldn't that make
You're
your
not trying to be a
family look good?
ministerial servant. And then what are you doing with your life? That's another thing. As soon as you hit 18 and you're baptized, bro, if you are not on your way to becoming a ministerial servant, you are not living your life correctly and you are to be avoided.
Yep.
Don't date him, ladies. He's not trying to become a ministerial servant.
Yep, stay away from him. He wasted his youth. He's only 18.
I remembered
partying too much.
I did get baptized.
Went to too many
I
birthdays.
remember the dang conversation that talked me into it with an elder. You want to know how that went?
Yeah, please. I've never heard this.
All right. Me and his son, my best friend at the time, were at Arby's. I think I was like 13 or 14. And we were eating at Arby's from like a break from going out in service in the door-to-door ministry where we wake people up on a Saturday and piss them off to solicit free literature. Well, we were at this Arby's, and he hits me with this conversation. He's sitting right across from me, and he's like, well, Chris, have you given any more thought into becoming baptized? And me personally, like, I know what's expected of me if I'm baptized. So the reason I'm not baptized yet is because I know I'm still messing up in Jehovah's eyes. So I'm trying to be perfect before I, make sure I'm ready for the commitment.
Right,
Before
me too.
I do it.
Yes.
And I told him that. I was like, man, I don't know. I don't want to mess up. I want to do everything right. And he goes, nobody's perfect. Quarter pounder with cheese. Nobody is perfect.
Quarter pounder with cheese. I'm dead.
He said, I know you're close with Big Mac and everything, but QP, you have a future here in Jehovah's organization. No, I'm just kidding. No, it was actually super lax. He was like, hey man, do you plan on serving any other gods anytime soon? I was like, no. He goes, do you believe that this is the truth? And I was like, from what I know, yeah. He goes, all right, so why aren't you baptized? And I was like, gee, I don't know. I guess I should be. He's like, well, you can start the first set of questions with whoever you'd like. Go ahead and go to the body of elders and let them know that if you want to use me, you can. I can do a set of questions with you, and boom, he started it. He finessed me, bro. He got me in there. Bam. That's the same dude. That's the same dude. Before I got baptized, on my set of questions, I went over the sex questions with him.
Damn.
Oh, that's the thing. You don't just get to be baptized. You have to go through 3 sets of questions with 3 different elders so they can prove your readiness. Even though he was like coercing me into applying.
Okay, I've never actually gone through the sets of questions. Could you elaborate more on that? Because I was never baptized. I got out.
So when you become an unbaptized publisher, you get a brown book called, maybe, is it the organized book, Organized to Do Jehovah's Will, or is that the green book when you get baptized? Do you remember the book, the brown book, when you became a publisher before you got baptized?
You're talking to me? You're talking to me?
Yeah. Talking to you.
No, I do not, unfortunately.
Okay.
Unfortunately, but I do not.
I think the Organized to Do God's Will book is the green book that is handed to you after you're baptized. But there's actually a step before baptism. Before you even want to become a baptized Jehovah's Witness, you have to become a publisher, which basically means you have gone to enough meetings and you've gone to a service meeting and you understand like how to go out and preach door to door, and you actually would have at that point been preaching with people, even though you're not a Jehovah's Witness. You have to preach before you're a Jehovah's Witness, which is a really
kind of crazy,
really weird. Yeah, so it may not be a Jehovah's Witness knocking on your door claiming to be, by the way. Just
selling what you
food for thought.
Yeah.
There you go. Kind of interesting. I never thought about that till I said it, but
that's another thing.
Yeah.
Why I didn't want to get baptized or go out door to door. How am I supposed to be telling these people to choose this when I haven't even chosen this yet? That's another big thing. And I'm sure
you're expected to do a certain amount of hours every month.
Oh yeah. I'm sure a lot of Jehovah's Witness kids out there kind of think the same thing. They're like, oh, how am I supposed to tell people to do this when even I'm not even sure. But they're definitely
I was knocking on doors.
Yeah.
at 12 years old.
Same. Same.
Yes, 12 years old, groomed by adults. And I would go to the door, and they told me if I'm nervous to pray. So, of course, I prayed, and it helped sometimes. But I wasn't praying for courage. I was praying for them not to come to the door because
My
I didn't want
goodness.
to talk. Like, that's real legitness right there. That's what's legitness. That's exactly how I felt. I prayed to God, hey, don't let nobody open this door. I don't even know what to say. I'm just going to say the same thing. By the way, also, you have new Watchtower and Awake magazines every month that they have you pushing out.
Mm-hmm.
That's what you go give door to door.
Yeah, I remember. Yep.
Most people don't even read all of those when they hand them out to you, man. They read like the back, they find 2 points that they want to talk about, and they make this like generic catchphrase, or not catchphrase, but like sales pitch, basically.
I can't really. Go ahead.
They would basically make like a sales pitch that they would use at every single door. And me personally, in all the years I was a Jehovah's Witness, and I would go out in service, bro, I never read any of these. And all I did was knock on the door. And if they answer the door, I would say, hello, hey, my name is this, and this is my friend. Because you always go to the door with somebody else. There's always 2 people. So keep that in mind. It's most likely a Jehovah's Witness, or not a Jehovah's Witness if there's less than 2 people. However, they would open the door, and I introduce myself, whoever I'm with, and I'd just say the same exact thing for years. And that would be, hey, we're just in the area encouraging Bible reading. And I have
Happen
a
to be
few
in the area.
I have a few Bible-based publications here that would take you to your copy of the Bible as a study tool to kind of help on different issues that we face today. And there's a new issue every month. Would you like these? They're free.
Well,
And it worked, baby. It worked. All right.
that's not a bad opening. I mean,
Right. But
not really.
also,
Go
I'm
ahead.
not trying to get a Bible study. I'm not trying to come back. I'm just trying to get my time. And everybody appreciated it. I was very successful. I never came back to return visits. When people are like, oh, it's raining, let's just do return visits for the last 3 hours of this. I'm like, oh, all mine are in another town. Sorry. We're not in this area.
Nice. I love that.
It was torture, but it's something you had to do. If you didn't get at least like 8 hours every month, because that was the national average for a publisher, you would be deemed inactive. So if you did 7 hours, you
Not worth
weren't
anything.
inactive, but you were still worthless
Wow.
because you couldn't even meet the minimum. And if you didn't go out in service for 3 months, you would no longer be recognized as an active Jehovah's Witness. You would be inactive, bad association. You would be silently shunned. There would be no action taken against you, but you would be hassled all the time by elders trying to encourage you, aka guilt trip you to come back. And
What's crazy is you in their eyes, technically, per their regulation, or you didn't do anything wrong, but you still would be ostracized for doing
in fact,
less than what your time was less than enough, and maybe that's all the time you could do. You know, like maybe.
you just touched the main point though, like the fact that you're not doing anything wrong and they're still prying. The reason you're falling away from Jehovah, they want to see what you've been doing wrong. That's the only reason they're contacting you. They're trying to get you in trouble.
Oh yeah.
They're meddling in your life 24/7,
It's
and
like the
the
Salem witch
level of
trials.
control.
It's all the drama.
Yeah,
Yeah, they live off the drama, man. They 100% live off the drama. I was like, oh, what's so and so
and
doing?
the control that you give them over your life, because they're not a legal entity. You don't owe them shit. In fact, they're not a legal entity. They will encourage you. They, it's bad. It's just bad. People give you a crazy level of control over their life.
Hold on. You said they're not a legal entity. I want to touch on that for a second. We had some. Well, it's unfortunate that a lot of families now are not together. You know, mom and dad are separated. Well, mom and dad were separated in my case as well. And we had the elders come over to try and alleviate the situation, or I guess try and take control of how our house should be run. And I think number one, that's a horrible idea, right? If you have another
Absolutely.
entity coming into your house to try and tell
To govern.
to govern your house, no, it's not going to work. No, because it can't be there all the time. You know what I mean? There has to be some stable way of your house running, and it's got to be between the man who married the woman, or the man who married the man. The man, it doesn't matter who you married. You know, it's whoever you made that lifelong commitment with. That's the person that you have to talk to on how you want your lives to be run. And I remember they came in and they talked to us. And my parents were asking them what should be done, and they literally said, "It's like we're not trained." Like they were like, "We're not trained to handle this situation. We would advise you to get some therapy for you, some therapeutical counseling." I think what they said, but
That's
basically,
rare because that's frowned upon also.
bro, I can't. I'm not even gonna go into the drama, what was going on, but they were like, "Whew, yeah, we can't be in here. Y'all already disfellowship before we walk out the door, but we can't be in no more."
Shoot, man. Like, I don't even know if
Don't.
God got what you need. I think the government gonna give you what you need. That's 3 hots and a cot, man, and a straight jacket.
Yachts.
Woo.
Straight jacket. Yeah, man. It just surprised me because at a young age, our house was governed by this body, and yet we had these people come over, and they said,
Yeah.
"Yeah, we can't legally do anything here." I'm like, What you mean you can't legally do nothing? Hold on. Ain't nothing I heard in this house, nothing but
I,
Jehovah. What Jehovah
they,
got to
they
say?"
that whole organization, man, they took the principle of the headship arrangement
Mm,
and they weaponized it. So that's exactly what they
yes.
did there. So your father is the head of the household, the husband, right? Well,
Yep.
who's his head? Well, that would be the elders. Well, who's their head? Well, that would be the circuit overseers. Well, who's their head? Oh, the governing body. Well, who's their head? Oh, take it up with God, motherfucker. He told me to do this, right?
Hmm.
That's the chain of command, the headship arrangement. So they do what they want, basically saying I am governed by the governing body. That's why I'm here doing this, and I'm the elder, so I'm telling you how you should govern your household, and you as the head of household should do that. And after that, you're the final chain of command. Nobody else in your house can say different. We'll back you up no matter what, even if you're abusive. So
I don't know
then
about
when you
if you're abusive. I don't want to say that every elder did that, but I will say,
that's true. That's true. I'm speaking hot lingo right now
yeah, 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 yeah.
from personal experience.
I want this to be totally. We both
Yeah.
want this to be from experience. Obviously, there's going to be biased because the way we grew up in, but we don't want to just slander. We just want to come
Yeah.
at y'all with
Let me
facts.
just say that. Let me cover my own butt here,
Okay.
since I said it.
Okay.
I don't have any ill intent or ill feelings towards any of the people of the organization. When I was a faithful member of that organization, even at my worst, I still thought that I was doing the right thing. So I won't ever hold that against the people of the organization. But I do feel very biased and strongly about the headship of that organization, like the people in charge of it that are controlling the masses. That's what that was more aimed towards. Not necessarily saying that all elders are abusive or will support abusers, but if you do your own research, you'll see a lot of patterns of abuse of power in people's lives, whether
Yes.
that be anything, sexually abusive or legally abusive, emotionally abusive, verbally abusive, any type of abuse that can come from anybody. Just because they're an elder doesn't make them bad, but it also doesn't make them not do it either.
Yeah, it doesn't make them perfect for sure.
Hmm. Yeah. All right.
Well,
Boom. Sorry. I'm tame.
yeah, no, it's all good. We're actually gonna. This is going on to about 30 minutes, so we're gonna cut it here into a nice bite-sized chunk. But this has been Cheeseburger. I'm Big Mac, and
Quarter pounder with the
all
cheese.
right, that's Quarter Pounder. You guys have a good one. Later.